What up? The New York Yankees are going to the World Series for the first time in 15 years. There's a lot to take in from this series. They just played against Cleveland to win the pennant, like a lot, which I covered mostly in the last video. But the biggest one to me became clear once it ended. Fittingly into the glove of Juan Soto in right field for the final out as the Yankees held on to the 3-run lead he had given them just minutes earlier. There's different levels to being good at baseball. There are a lot of things players do over time to get better, but there's some things a select few players do that simply isn't teachable. And I'm talking about Juan Soto. Not that he hasn't worked hard to get to the point he is today. Obviously he has, and a lot of work behind the scenes goes into any elite athlete being as elite as they are. But Soto really is as natural of an elite talent as there is. As advanced of an elite talent as it gets. What he does, how he's done it, for as early on and for how long he's done it for, it's really a once-in-a-lifetime type of talent. A once-in-a-lifetime talent that, yes, deserves exactly what the title of this video claims he deserves. Shohei Ohtani money. Soto always had big expectations, and the Washington Nationals smartly jumped on the opportunity to sign him for $1.5 million a couple months before his 17th birthday back in 2015. And it took no time for Soto to show why he was highly regarded to begin with. Despite being barely 17 years old, he was completely unfazed throughout the minor leagues. Not any level did Soto struggle in the minors, but the most impressive part of it all was how little games he actually ended up ever playing in the minor leagues. He never played a single game in AAA. He played just 51 games between the two lowest levels of the Nationals in 2016 as a 17-year-old, only 32 games in 2017 because of a couple injury issues, started 2018 in High A, got promoted to Single A after 16 games, only to get promoted yet again now to Double A, but after just 8 games of more mashing now in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Soto was promoted again, and I just spoiled the fact that it wasn't AAA, so unless there's some league between AAA and Major League Baseball, you know it's got to be the show. And that's exactly what it was, as Soto was called up to fill in a spot for Howie Kendrick, who was injured at the time. So this guy is 19 years old, has played just 122 professional games over the course of the last 3 years, started the season in the level under Single A, yet managed to make it all the way up to the big leagues within a month and a half. That is ridiculous. And so Juan Soto made his debut on May 20th, 2018, pinch hitting and struck out, which may seem lame, but I actually find it fitting. This was Soto's way of telling us all he wasn't a pinch hitter, because the very next day when Soto got his first major league start playing left field, Soto took the very first pitch he saw and sent it 422 feet away for a home run over the bullpen. First hit? Check. First RBIs? Check. First homer? Check. Now, during the 2018 season, I was never really focused or honed in on Juan Soto at all, mainly because the vast majority of my focus was on the Boston Red Sox, winning 108 games with what may very well forever go down as the greatest Red Sox team of all time, and one of the best just in general. So admittingly, the only thing I remember about Juan Soto in 2018, at least from when I was watching, was when Red Sox pitcher Rick Porcello hit a ball over his head in left field for a 3-run double off Max Scherzer. I actually ended up going to the next couple of games after that with my mom for the 4th of July in Washington, D.C., and again, no Soto memories, just the fact that it was my first ever time in DC. The Red Sox swept that series and it was insanely hot, like brutally hot on the 4th. So I wasn't too aware of Soto, but I don't think I was alone in that. He definitely got attention, but he wasn't really close to who was getting the most attention even on his own team, as a guy by the name of Bryce Harper was about to enter free agency. So understandably so, that was the endless chatter, but he still lit the world on fire, including when he technically hit a homer before even making his debut. It was a home run against the Yankees on June 18th, 2018, but from a game that started on May 15th, 5 days before Soto ever made his debut, but had been suspended in the 5th inning because of bad weather. He also won the NL Rookie of the Month award 3 times, set a bunch of records for anything a teenager has ever done in the big leagues. He's hitting home runs in the past. I mean, this guy was doing everything. So the 2018 season ends, the Nationals miss out on the postseason, Harper leaves for Philly, and Soto is now the young star, or at least young star to be. And I think throughout 2019, I was more aware of Juan Soto, and more were becoming aware of him, especially as the season went on and the Nationals made their push for the playoffs. And then came October, and this is when he was exposed on a more national level. And also when I realized that this guy is special. Juan Soto isn't just simply good at baseball. He's not just simply good at hitting. To say he's a really good hitter wouldn't be wrong to say, obviously, but it still does not at all do his talent justice, because it's the context of just exactly how good he is, what he does to be so productive. perspective. And in October of 2019, the month Juan Soto instantly became one of my favorite players in baseball, it wasn't just the hits or the homers that I liked, it was the way he went about his business. During the Nationals postseason run in 2019, Juan Soto was 20, just turning 21, yet had already been in the league for 2 seasons, and hadn't really struggled at all so far at any level, including the big league level. He's barely the legal age of drinking, and not only was he out here hitting 2-out go-ahead triples against the best closer in baseball, lefty on lefty, game-tying blasts against Hall of Famers late in games, but it was as if a 30-year-old was in this 20-year-old's body. It's like Soto had the maturity and mental capacity of someone much older with the outside of a younger, much more inexperienced person. Now, I know bat flips or showing emotion, at least in certain moments, can be looked at as controversial by some, mainly because they can be looked at as disrespectful. And 2019 introduced the world to several things Juan Soto does that can be looked at in that way. The Soto shuffle, him grabbing his crotch, staring back at the pitcher with an intimidation factor, and you may not like that. And if you don't, that's fine. But here's my take. I've always seen it as Soto's way of telling the pitcher that he's not afraid of him. He never will be, and that's powerful. People always say to act like you've been there before, and yes, there are definitely times where certain antics are wrong to do just in general. Bat flipping and showing emotions are okay, but sometimes if it's done in certain situations that maybe feel like an unwarranted shot is being thrown at the opposition, I can understand the opposition for getting upset. It's natural. That's part of life. We get emotional, and veterans definitely deserve respect for the experience that they have under their belts. But in the case of Juan Soto, someone who was just 20, 21 at the time, if you can hit the way he does, do whatever you want. If you're good at helping your team win with the only cost being the feelings of the other team, so be it. And this is why I freaking loved it. No, Soto had never been in a spot this big before. You know who had? Justin Verlander, a future Hall of Famer, an incredibly talented, established player and person in this game. And you know what? Juan Soto did not care. Not because he hates Justin Verlander or has some sort of lack of respect for the person that he is, but Soto's mindset is that he's not going to let anybody walk over him. Whether it's someone his age or twice it, he wants to win. And if you're in the way of that, he's going to stalk you like prey and try to beat you. Brian Anderson, the announcer for the TBS games and the ALCS, mentioned this analogy during his now famous at-bat from Game 5 against Cleveland, which we'll get to. But from seemingly birth, Soto has had the mindset of a predator, of a boss, and not in a creepy or bad way, like in the badass way, like an animal. His shuffle, his little head shaking at the plate, the mind games he plays, he's not doing that to be cocky or to be an asshole. He's doing that because it's natural to him, because it's part of his game and what makes him so good. It may look cocky, but I don't take any of it as that. More so the idea of whoever the pitcher is on the mound is a threat to take food from him and his family's plate, and he's not going to let that happen. Like, it's not personal. You just happen to be the person in my way at this moment in time. Juan Soto backs his mind games up too. Like, he never looks stupid up there for that reason. Not only is Juan Soto smart and talented from a physical standpoint for baseball, but he's also got what I think is the strongest mind in baseball, which is partly why he deserves Ohtani money. A big reason why. Here is prime example number 1. During Game 6 of the World Series in Houston 5 years ago, the game is tied and Juan Soto's up against Justin Verlander, who starts off with 2 fastballs that miss high and away. So Verlander, who had just given up a game-tying homer in this inning, as you can tell is already annoyed, now behind 2-0, he throws another fastball now that Soto fouls off before going with a fastball again to try and bite the inside corner for strike 2, only for it to miss for ball 3. Soto starts to do a little mini shuffle, and Verlander isn't having it, yelling out to Soto, "Not here. Not here. Like, you're not going to do that shit on me in my house. You're 21 years old. It's the most intense level you could possibly play in, being the World Series. A 36-year-old, 14-year veteran who was that year's Cy Young Award winner and a future Hall of Famer with a fastball in the mid to upper 90s is staring right back at you and telling you to knock off whatever antics you have going on. It would be very easy to get intimidated in a situation like this if you're the more inexperienced 21-year-old in this situation, naturally. But what Soto did was beyond, I think, most people's mental abilities, let alone for someone his age. Because what he did was simply look back at Verlander and just nod his head and smile. Why? Because he knows he won. He knows he was inside of Verlander's head now, someone who's behind in the count already annoyed with the situation of the game, and now Soto's antics are making him feel the need to full-on stop and say something in the middle of the at-bat, and Soto couldn't have been more ready for the next pitch. Verlander's 5th fastball thrown right where he wanted it to end up, or at least on the way there, until Soto sent it into the top tank at Minute Maid Park. Soto had been raking all series against Verlander, against Garrett Cole. He ended up with at least 1 hit played in 5 of the 7 games of the series, 3 being multi-hit, but this at-bat in particular was one for the reasons I just went over that showed just how truly special Juan Soto was and still is, which is where we get to now, the latest prime example. Juan Soto is 5 years older now, and he's only improved with his skills mechanically, but also mentally. The skills that go into the mind battle between a batter and pitcher, something Soto's best at. It's the 10th inning of Game 5 of the ALCS in Cleveland. The game is tied, and on the mound trying to keep the game tied is Hunter Gaddis, a reliever who had a 1.5 ERA this season, and also someone who doesn't really allow home runs. Now, Soto ends up hitting a home run in this at-bat, as you probably know by now, but what I've realized just from what Soto does, and also from former MLB pitcher and now fellow content creator Trevor May, what I've realized about this at-bat is that the coolest, most fascinating thing about it isn't the home run in itself. It's the way he got the home run, which goes back to what I just said Soto did with Verlander 5 years earlier and what he does better than anybody else, let alone anybody else for his age. He solely got this home run off of mind games, purely off of getting inside Gaddis' head and manipulating the situation. Again, shout out Trevor May who talked about this, as you'll see what I mean throughout this at-bat. So 2 guys on, 2 outs, tie game, vital situation. Gaddis throws a first pitch slider, and Soto does his usual looking back at the mound in his shuffle position after taking it low and in. Okay, so that's step 1 of his usual game. Then there's another slider from Gaddis, and like I said, he had a 1.58 ERA this year. He's pretty damn good. This is a good slider, and it was low but called the ball. Soto's like, damn, but okay. And here's where things get interesting, and how Soto manipulates this entire outcome from a mental standpoint. Gaddis throws another slider, but this time high, that Soto fouls off and looks back at Gaddis, nodding his head as a way of letting him know he just missed it. And although, yes, this is a pitch Soto could have very well hit to the moon, he didn't actually just miss this pitch. Trevor May points out, no, he barely touched it. He was way out in front wanting the fastball, but got the slider. So even though it was high and over the plate, he wasn't close to crushing it. Next pitch, an 82-mile-an-hour changeup that Soto also fouls off, but he wasn't on this either. He impressively was able to knock it away to stay alive in the at-bat, but he was off balance here, sticking out his butt with an emergency swing at the last moment. Yet, despite having to take an emergency hack and get off balance, Soto still looks back and nods his head as if he liked what he just saw. So the point Trevor May made is that what Juan Soto was doing here was fouling off pitches until he gets a fastball, baiting Gaddis into throwing one. The next pitch, another soft one, a changeup high and away that Soto yet again is off balance with. Just out in front, chops it to the pole side foul. The next pitch is the hardest of the at-bat so far, but still not a fastball. A 90-mile-an-hour cutter that Soto yet again doesn't swing well on. It's another emergency swing. A last-second hack just to foul the pitch off. He's not on these pitches at all, yet continues to give the impression that he's expecting those pitches and likes them, that he's on them. Just full on mind games. And just like he did with Verlander, Soto won this battle, because on the 7th pitch of the at-bat, Gaddis gave him exactly what he wanted the entire time. A fastball. Juan Soto is miles advanced than the vast majority of most, if not all, hitters in the world in every way. From a pure talent standpoint physically, his approach, his knowledge and mastery of the strike zone, but in what I think may be the most important aspect of any sort of success, his mental side. Not only is Soto unafraid of anybody or any situation or any moment, not only does he use his confidence in himself and the belief that he's the most powerful man in any battle to his advantage, but he has an entirely separate element to his game that nobody else has, or at least not nearly to the level that he has it at, which is the mind element. Juan Soto is truly a special talent because of all this. He's just 26 years old. Put that all together, I think that's worth Shohei money. Let me know your thoughts and thank you for watching.